All right, Jeff, let's
Okay.
keep the football talk going here. Game is tomorrow night. You know how excited I am. So thanks for helping get an Eagles great. William Thomas joins us on the line to talk some football. William, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're excited. Playoff football
Oh,
here.
I am too.
Playoff football here. Do you still get excited when the playoffs come around now? Does your blood get going?
Oh yeah, I watch football all year round. Whenever football starts, I watch it faithfully, weekly, like everyone else.
Are you able to sit there and just be a fan at this point, or do you still long for getting out there and hitting somebody?
Oh, no more hitting, man. But I tell you what, I appreciate the game, so I look at it from that aspect too.
How does that change the way that you watch football games now that you call it when you see games? And I mean, I assume it's a little bit different officiating the playoffs or bowl games like that for you. What's different there?
Yeah, well, you look at the some of the holding calls and some of the plays that are some fouls that are called. You say, oh man, well, I might have missed that one, or that was a good get. I look at it that way a lot now because I'm trying to get to that point to make it to the NFL. So that's how I see the game now.
All right. So when you look at the game now and in the job that you're doing now, were there calls that were made when you were a player that now you sit there and say that you disagreed with then, that you now sit there and say, oh, you know what, the ref was right?
No, because sometimes I ran through and got held a few times, never got called. So I'm like, man, whatever. So you just keep on moving. But the rough and the passer calls are real tight now. It's tight, man.
Yeah, well, we'll get there in a second, but I'm bringing this up for one specific reason. If you don't know, now, if I'm right, in your couple years after being with the Eagles, you were on the Raiders
Oh
team.
yeah.
You were on the
Oh yeah,
Raiders
I was
team
there.
with the see. So now looking at that, you were. If you could tell us a little bit, where were you, and what was your reaction when the Tuck rule decision got made?
Well, I'll tell you what, being an official, looking, because I'm in a developmental program for the NFL, so when I talk to the guys, I know why they did it, but it's still like, oh well, it happened, but still, it was a fumble. Yeah, to this day, it was a fumble.
Did you see
But
when
it's nothing. Go ahead.
Did you see when Charles Woodson basically got Tom Brady to admit it in that 30 for 30 that they did?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I was told about it.
Yeah, so Brady's holding the ball and Woodson knocks it out of his hand and Brady goes fumble real
Oh
fast and Woodson points to him and he goes, gotcha. And Brady's like, no, that wasn't a fumble. That wasn't a fumble. You'd like it and it'll probably infuriate you all at the same time.
It's one of those things that that unfortunate for us at that time. There was a rule that needed to be changed, and then the next year it was changed. So it is what it is.
Yeah, well, you also mentioned the way the quarterbacks are treated today. It seems like guys that played in your era it would be impossible for you to play today because the things that you have to do, not only you have to pull, you're in the middle of running at them, and in a split second you have to pull back, and then if you don't pull back, you have a situation where you could hit them, and if you land on them wrong, even if it's not intentional, that is a penalty. How do defensive players that are as fast and as strong as they are, how are they I understand protecting the quarterback, but at some point, doesn't there have to be some leveling here to make sure that the guys that are trying to tackle them, they're not trying to injure them, but they can't stop like mid-fly as they're going towards the quarterback?
Yeah, that's the next phase they have to get to. It's like, okay, if you can tell when a guy's really trying to flop on a guy, and as opposed to when he's like, oh, I'm just tackling him and getting him down. It's very thin line there. It's tough. But when the guy's actually, the big 330 pounder really just plops on a guy, that's huge. And some guys do it with the intent of hurting someone.
You played in one of the more fun games for me to watch as a fan growing up at the Vet, the playoff game in '95 against Detroit. I actually looked back, I didn't realize and remember you had an interception return for a touchdown. What was it like to play before the Philly fans and the Vet and the playoffs and that rabid fan base?
Well, that fan base was, hey, they were down for their team. And I'm not saying that the fans today are not down for their team. It was just different because how rowdy they were. I mean, at any point in the game, you see the game within the game was up in the 700 level where you see guys rolling down the bleachers. You know, so like, okay, there it is. There's the fight that we've been waiting for the whole game because it's going to happen if the opposite team jersey is up in the stands. That's just the way it happens.
So are you guys? You guys are in the middle of a game. Are you
Oh
guys
yeah,
looking up in the stands, looking for action up there?
oh yeah. Oh, here he comes. There it is. It's up there. There they go.
That,
And sure enough, there's a fight happening up there, guys. They're really rolling down the stands up there. It was wild.
Tell us about you. You said you're somebody that still watches lots of football. What have you seen out of the Giants and the Eagles, and then what do you expect to see tomorrow night here in Philly?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a divisional opponent, so they're going to come out fighting. They're not going to just give the game up to us. We got to go out there and take it, and we got to make them quit. But what I see Daniel Jones is making a lot of plays with his feet, and that scares me because a quarterback that can run and make things happen with his feet is dangerous.
Yeah.
And because we got to worry about guys be covering guys, but then the guy takes off and runs. It's tough.
Well, it seems to me that Jason's particularly worried about the defensive side of the ball. And when I look at the Vikings defense that the Giants just played and the Eagles defense, while the Eagles have better personnel, it seems like they run a very similar type of soft zone defense. Is that something that concerns you as an Eagle, that they're running the soft zone defense and now the Giants are moving Daniel Jones around and kind of using him in the same way that the Eagles were using Jalen Hurts before he got injured?
Yeah, sometimes it does because me. I mean, some of the defenses I was involved in, we came after guys. We got after them a little bit. Even when we did have guys like Reggie White and Clyde Simmons out there rushing the passer, we still brought one guy to make it tougher. So when you sit back sometimes, things happen where the team gets more time to throw the football or the quarterback takes off and runs, but it is what it is. We're successful. We're leading the league in sacks, so that's still saying something.
If you're a defensive mind going into this game, do you try to get after Daniel Jones and rattle him? He still is a young quarterback who hasn't been in this situation a lot. You get up early, that crowd can drive people kind of crazy. What's your approach if you're a defensive coordinator or a defensive mind going into this game against a quarterback that has the potential to get outside the pocket and run a little bit?
Well, first things first, we got to get him into the third and long situations where we can actually go after him, and pin our ears back and go get the quarterback. And that's when we make things happen, and that's when the guys can really take off and go get him because we got a great pass rush. And when we have a chance to get out there, it's over.
Yeah, but that's only if you can. That's only if you can contain him in the pocket. What if Daniel Jones doesn't seem to be running up the middle? He seems to be finding outside lanes. Is that something that the Eagles? Do you think the Eagles are going to be able to contain and be disciplined enough to keep him in the pocket, or do you think that the Giants are going to be able to exploit that?
Well, the thing is, you got to be disciplined on your rush lanes for one, and the guys up the middle got to keep it where he can't step up into the pocket, and the guys come from the outside. Got to keep it contained. It's a matter. Everyone got to be disciplined when they're out there rushing the quarterback. And when we bring an extra guy, we can't just take it. Sometimes it's hard to be disciplined that way. You see that inside cut. Oh, I can get inside and make it, but then he'll see it and run outside. So that hurts you sometimes. But I think if the guys go out there and control their rush lanes and you can run some stunts, I think they're really going to get home. But the first thing is we got to get them in third and long.
If you were playing today, would you enjoy the way that the offenses are run today, or would you find it more difficult because there's so many quarterbacks that are now versatile enough to run in addition, just pull down the ball whenever they have a problem and just run?
Now, you know better than that. I'll have a field day today. I would have a field day. Not that listen, and many times they throw the ball 50, 60 times, I would have to break a record for interceptions or something.
Yeah, you get to pin your ears back. That defense, they'd have sent you on
Oh
blitzes
yeah.
with Ray Rhodes and those defenses. They'd have gotten after. I try to explain to Jeff
But you know me, I wanted the ball. I tell the big guys, you guys go get the sacks. Let them throw the ball and rush the pass so I can get the interception. I want the interception.
well, and look, you're somebody who got the credit for those interceptions. You made the Pro Bowl twice. Got to ask, what do you think of the new Pro Bowl rules? You going to get in on flag football?
But we were basically playing flag football then. I remember running down on the kickoff. I was running full speed, about to go knock somebody. I said, "Hey!" The guy on the AFC side said, "Hey, slow down. What are you doing?" Oh, okay. All right, all you have to do is tell me once.
So the first time you go to a Pro Bowl, I got to imagine you're excited. You're around all of these other Pro Bowlers. You want to impress all these great players that you're now part of. Other than the slow down, is there anybody else that's sitting there and like pulling you aside and say, "Hey, by the way,
we don't play this game."
We know you like to hit, but today's not the day to do it.
Yeah, they're like, today is not today. We're in Hawaii, baby.
Watching the playoffs, that obviously they expanded it. Jeff and I joked about the super wild card. We saw a comeback last week in the Jaguars game with Doug Peterson.
Oh yeah.
Your thoughts on what you saw there, the collapse of the Chargers, and the lead up to now Doug versus Andy and the Chiefs versus the Jags as the lean into the Eagles tomorrow?
Well, I'll tell you what, that game was like, man, like all those interceptions in the first quarter. He's like, man, this is what's happening here, and you just thought the game was over. But when they scored at halftime, he's like, okay, wait a minute, there's a possibility here because they seemed like they had a little momentum going, and then sure enough, they came back in the second half and scored again, and that's when you know the game was a game. And with these two teams now, they both know each other because all the coaches were together, right? So you should know. Everyone should know the defense, and everyone should know the offense. So we'll see who knows each other better with that game.
All right. Well, but before we let you go and let you get to your prediction, because we hear the drum line behind you.
Yeah, I'm at a pep rally.
If you're on the Chargers team, they're up 27-0. What is it? How helpless do you feel as a player if you see that the coaches are not calling either get too tight on offense or get too loose on defense, and you're just a player trying to do your job?
Well, I can't really say that they were too tight or too loose. I just think that the Jaguars just woke up. They woke up and started playing. Once they got that touchdown before half, I think they really woke up and said, okay, now all we got to do is go out and try to do the same thing in the second half. Because if you think about it, all the points really came off a lot of the turnovers that the Jaguars had in the first half. So, after they stopped all the turnovers, they started playing football.
All right. So before we let you go, tomorrow night, Giants Eagles. What's your prediction?
I think we're gonna come out and do what we're supposed to do. We got to guard and jump on them right away, and I think we'll win the game by 14 points.
Oh, that would make me feel very happy. Thank you for that prediction.
Book it.
Book it. William Thomas, go enjoy the pep rally. Enjoy the game tomorrow night. And thank you so much for the time. Take care of yourself.
Oh, no problem, guys. Thank you. Take care.